welcome to Let's Build Together, a podcast on lifestyle, current affairs, and a variety of topics. If it's your first time here, then thank you for deciding to listen to my podcast. But if it's not your first time, then thank you for being patient and waiting until I post a new episode. So, without further ado, let's get started on today's topic. In all the years of my life, I've felt little from all of my friends. Like I wasn't good enough for anyone to like or really understand me. It has always been this way until I discovered all the amazing creators on YouTube that I mentioned in my first episode. What I've learned from them made me start my self-love journey, which I'm still on. And I knew I wanted to tackle what I call my mental breakdown, because that's when I had insecurities and suicidal thoughts. But that's for another episode. A way I knew I had to tackle my breakdown was to learn to love myself, which is why I started a podcast. It is a way for me to love myself by first loving my voice. However, that's not the only reason why I started a podcast. Now, that's how comparing myself to others came into the picture of me starting a podcast. I looked at what others, as in my classmates or quote-unquote friends, had in their life with what I had. After all, comparing is looking at the similarities and differences between two things or people. Now, comparing is not always horrible, because we as humans compare what we get in our maths test to see where we went wrong. We've all been there at one point, when our role model talks about how they managed to be successful as a way to find out what we are doing wrong. However, comparing ourselves to others always ends up badly. Even if you didn't want it to be like that. Take me for example. I used, or rather still do, compare the school that my friends go to and the school that I go to. The house they live in and the house that I live in, and how they can easily make friends and how I make friends. I know it is a horrible thing that I shouldn't be doing, yet I am doing it. Why am I comparing myself to them? It is only going to make me feel worse about myself. That's what I have always asked myself, and when I began journaling, I finally understood why. It is because I feel like I am lost, that I have no one who will ever truly understand me on earth, because not even my family understands me. I have felt that only God understands me because He has created me. So, comparing ourselves to others has a major impact on our mental health, which will eventually affect our spiritual life, physical health, and relationships. Everyone compares themselves to others. Even our favorite role models, artists, singers, dancers, and so on, compare themselves to other people, but they have figured out how to stop, or rather control it, so that whenever they're comparing themselves to others, it helps them improve instead of self-destruct. I have finally found out what helps me personally to stop myself when I notice I've been comparing myself a lot. The first thing is journaling. Now, this is something that I used to do when I was young and found out that writing dear diary is not my thing. At that time, I didn't know it was called journaling. To me, it was just writing down my thoughts, just writing down how I feel. The way I journal is by writing down anything that has been bothering me or made me extremely happy. The second thing is taking a break from social media, because that's where it starts from 60% of the time. So just taking a full day or two to not be online is good. When I was a kid, I didn't know what Instagram was. I knew what Facebook was, but I didn't use it. I knew what WhatsApp was, and the only people I had on WhatsApp was my mom, my dad, my sister, and that was it. So at that time, I had never ever compared myself to other people, because I didn't feel like I had to compare myself. So taking a break from social media right now at this age has been extremely helpful for me. The third thing is taking care of myself by exercising or warming up if I'm way too lazy to exercise, or listening to my favorite feel-good music, even something small like wearing something that makes me happy, jewelry. Okay, I don't wear jewelry because eczema, so like wearing my favorite t-shirt, favorite pants makes me happy, and it helps a lot. The first thing is practicing gratitude by thanking God for keeping me safe during a pandemic, because I'm still alive. For my skin color, because a lot of times I feel like I am way too black for my skin color, and just standing in front of my mirror and saying to myself that my skin is popping, I'm looking good, I'm glowing, that just makes me happy. Again, this is what I do personally, but I wanted to find out what you can also try for you. And don't forget that it is your way of making sure you are not comparing yourself in a way that harms you. So you can just try different things that make you happy to figure out how to stop comparing yourself to others. Now, the first thing is looking forward to achieving your goals, because you have goals there for a reason. So by just looking forward to achieving your goals helps you remember why you wrote your goals, and that gives you something to look forward to in life. The second thing is to make a mental or even a physical note that social media does not always show reality. For example, let's say someone has a picture on the Instagram feed that shows them next to a Lamborghini or an expensive car, right? Doesn't always mean that it's their car. So you just always have to remember that in mind. The third thing is to focus on your strengths and changing your weaknesses into tools. Now, what I mean by changing your weaknesses into tools, let's say you have a small voice like mine, where you can change that into a tool and start a podcast if you want to, or you can start a YouTube channel. Different things. There's a lot that you can use, that you can do with your weaknesses. You just have to find out what it is. The first thing is to celebrate other people's accomplishments along with your tiny accomplishments. So let's say you have a friend, right? You and your friend are both writing books, and your friend has finished writing her book. It has gotten a lot of views, and you have gotten at least halfway through your book and it hasn't gotten that many views if you're writing it on Wattpad, right? So what you can do personally is celebrate your friend. The fact that your friend's book is doing so well, and the fact that you are halfway through finishing your book. Because firstly of all, the fact that you are still writing your book means that you have not given up. It means that you are strong, and it means that you really love your book. So the first thing is to learn to compete with yourself instead of others. Again, I'm gonna use the book thing as a reference. Let's say your first book didn't do that well, right? The first book that you wrote didn't do that well. Now, you can just look at your first book, take note of where you went wrong. Might be small things like a small error here and there, punctuation, your sentence structure. That might be where you went wrong. So in your second book that you're gonna write, you could make sure that your punctuation is right, your spelling is well, it's nice, it's good, and that your sentence structure is also good. That's also another way. Now the sixth thing is to have and please do remember that when you are competing with yourself, that you should strive for improvement, not for perfection. No one is perfect. Nothing on earth can be perfect. So look for improvement, not perfection. The sixth thing is to have boundaries of how long you spend time on social media. Again, you can spend 1 or 2 hours a day on your phone using social media, but not more than that, because you spend, let's say, 6 hours or 5 hours on social media browsing, looking at people's pictures and so on. It will make you sad, because you will start comparing yourself and say, oh, she has this and I don't have it, and so on and so on. So just having a time limit of how long you spend on social media helps. Now that's about it for today's episode. I'm really sorry if it doesn't sound that well, but hopefully it helps, it reaches someone, and I'll see you in another episode. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for more. And if you would like to, tell me what you thought about this episode, your thoughts, and so on, even tips on how I can improve, that will help. You can just go to my Instagram at LBT Podcast, and can't wait to hear from you. Have a lovely month, and see you hopefully very soon. Bye.